It just gets fucking worse. Hey guys, Space Guy here. Just wanted to talk to you guys today again about Acerthorn. Now, if you're wondering, well, why the hell are you making another video about Acerthorn? Well, I got a good reason for this. You see, when I made the Acerthorn video, I thought this guy was just a prick who had a bad take on a video game and was silencing people via DMCA strikes. But no, it actually gets much worse than that. You see, when I uploaded that video, I started getting tons of comments on Reddit and my YouTube video alike about Acerthorn, and this guy's got quite a bit of history. How much history, you ask? Well, so this guy has been stirring shit as far back as since 2008. In fact, he was having articles wrote about him well over 10 years ago, back in 2011. Well, not well over, but you get what I mean. Over a decade ago. In my research, I have found that this guy has been a problem in pretty much every community he's touched. From every small forum he's been in, to Reddit, to Unity gaming forums. Everywhere you go, everywhere you look that this guy has been, he's been causing trouble. He's like the reverse King Midas. Everything he touches turns to shit. And for good reason. But enough explaining. Let's cut this intro short, guys, and let's just get into it. We're gonna be diving into the rabbit hole that is Acerthorn. I've already briefly covered the DMCA striking of channels, but I did not go into full detail about this, or mention the fact that he is trying to sue all the channels he's copyright striking. Let me put this into perspective. He's currently attempting to sue all of these channels for copyright infringement. His lawsuit names several people here: Enclave Emily, Echo Wilder, Creatosis, Just Emmy, Sid Alpha, Bibi Faizi, Rogue Internet Man, and Sophia Ann P. Wow, that's a lot of people you're trying to go after, dude. Not only that, but his lawsuit also names Alphabet Inc., fucking YouTube, Discord, and Twitch. You know, those billion-dollar corporations who are backed by some of the best lawyers in the world. This guy seriously thinks he stands a chance in court against all of these people at once? And it gets better. He also names Shira Perlmutter in his lawsuit, the fucking director of the US Copyright Office. And to top it all off, he's not even represented by a lawyer in his case. He's representing himself. And he seriously thinks he has a foot to stand on here. It's comedic. In his lawsuit, Acerthorn is looking for $3,450,000 across all defendants, plus $20 for each view Sid Alpha's video critiquing him got. Sid's video at the moment is pushing 100,000 views, so we're looking at around $2 million more on top of the $3.4 million he's requesting. To make a long story short, he's not going to win this lawsuit. All of the YouTubers in question he is trying to sue made videos critiquing him, and these videos all fall under fair use. People are allowed to criticize you, Acerthorn. You fucking troglodyte. But I guess Acerthorn has this going for him: experience. You see, this isn't Acerthorn's first time lawsuit. No. This guy has been trying to sue multitudes of corporations for over 10 years. Lawsuits are public record, and as the internet does when people come out as a villain like Acerthorn, the internet does some digging on them. He's tried to sue mega corporations such as Microsoft, Google, and even fucking Walmart of all things. I think his funniest lawsuit was when he tried to sue the state of Texas for, get this, $5 trillion. $5 trillion fucking dollars. There isn't much information I could find on this lawsuit, but if it wasn't obvious, he lost. But still, $5 trillion fucking dollars? That's nearly half of the United States' entire yearly GDP. Even if his lawsuit held any ground, he'd still be laughed out of the court by requesting such a ridiculous amount of money. What a fucking idiot. There's a large list of all his attempted lawsuits, and there's nearly 50 listed here. 45 to be exact. And us modern day YouTubers aren't the first to cover this guy. He was having articles wrote about him all the way back in 2011 for his insane lawsuits. Quite the reputation you've got going for you, Acer. I'm impressed. Imagine if you put this much effort into your awful YouTube channel. Fuck, you'd probably be rivaling PewDiePie by now. Well, probably not, but you get where I'm going with this. A 2011 article on this website called Tech Dirt was wrote about Acerthorn titled "Guys Suing Google for $500 Billion, Now Suing Microsoft for the Same Amount." It goes on to state, "We wrote about David Stebbins' legal filing in which he claimed that Google owes him $500 billion and that the whole thing could not be contested. This wasn't a first. As we noted, earlier in the year he demanded $600 billion from Walmart. Stebbins is also demanding $500 billion from Microsoft using basically the identical legal theory, in quotations, as he did with Google. That is, he amended the Xbox contract, sent it to Microsoft, telling the company that if it didn't cancel his account, it meant it had to agree to the contract. When his account wasn't canceled, he demanded arbitration over a random issue pointing to the clauses in his amended contract, including a promise to respond to arbitration requests in 24 hours. Microsoft, of course, did not. Once again, he pointed to the clause in his contract that claimed such a forfeit means an automatic victory in arbitration at an amount declared by Stebbins. He then goes to court to enforce this supposedly incontestable arbitration win. Like most of his previous lawsuits, this one will likely get tossed, in part because nothing in the terms for Xbox says that the customer can unilaterally change the contract. It'll also get tossed because it's ridiculous. So basically what Acerthorn, or David, was trying to do here was he'd write up a bullshit contract, send it to these corporations, and if they didn't respond to it within a day, and they of course didn't and never would, then they would be forfeiting according to his contract's ruling, and therefore he wins by default and they owe him a random amount of money he makes up. That has got to be quite possibly the stupidest fucking thing I've heard anyone ever come up with. You can't just make up some bullshit contract, send it to whoever, and if they don't respond, then they magically owe you $500 billion, bro. What? If it were that easy to get insane amounts of money, everyone would do it. Fuck. And it wouldn't surprise me if people hadn't tried this in the past. How he isn't in jail or prison for making bogus lawsuits, I have no idea. And not only are these cases obviously bullshit, but they're a huge waste of time and resources for all parties involved, except Acerthorn. More on that in a second, but his own county has made statements regarding his behavior. Do note before I read these statements are from legal documents I could not find the exact source on, but I will provide all the sources and links I can in the description to those who are curious. A source is most likely available and I just could not find exactly what it's from. Onto the document. It states, "The fact remains that Mr. Stebbins has not succeeded on the merits in any of the numerous cases he has filed in this district. He has a history of filing ultimately meritless claims upon which the court has been found to expand countless hours of time and judicial resources. Regardless of Mr. Stebbins' alleged good faith intent in filing his various lawsuits, the fact remains that he has abused the system by continuing to file unmeritorious claims and motions." Damn, Acerthorn, even your own fucking town hates you and your bullshit. These lawsuits are also bad because Acerthorn files these lawsuits via pro se in forma pauperis. Pro se in forma pauperis means pour yourself while poor. It means Acerthorn represents himself without a lawyer and is unable to pay court fees. There are rules in the justice system that allow poor people to hire attorneys to represent them, and also rules to allow poor people to not have to pay court fees. Acerthorn falls into the latter bracket, which means he's able to sue people over and over with no repercussion and no cost to himself. He's essentially using the courts to throw shit at the wall until something maybe sticks and he wins someday, all while wasting the time, resources, and money of the justice system and of the people who he tries to sue who don't get to waive court fees like he does. He is literally trying to rob people over and over using the justice system, and even if he loses, as he always does, then he can at least make you waste your own money fighting him off, and I'm sure that's a mental victory for him. If I can't have your money, then you can't have it either, is basically what his line of thinking is. If you ask me, this should be against the law. It honestly sounds like the justice system needs some sort of reform here. People should not be able to game and abuse the system to spam the courts with bullshit lawsuits over and over, at no cost to themselves. If you're watching this, Acerthorn, you need to rot in a fucking jail cell or something, dude. You are a scumbag. Acerthorn is clearly not a young guy, and as such, he's been on the internet for a very long time. Multiple accounts under his pseudonym or actual name have been found across a plethora of forum websites and commonplace social media sites like Reddit and Facebook, plus a shitload of other sites. I don't know how he's registered to so many websites, but whatever. I don't mean to splash you with cold water in the face with this, but did you know he causes a lot of trouble on other websites and has been for years on sites besides YouTube? This is a shocker, I know. I never expected this either. Sarcasm aside, we're going to highlight some glaringly, bad contributions he has made to different websites. We'll start with Reddit, as this is his most actively used website. A hilarious side note, when searching his username on Reddit, I accidentally searched by subreddit name and not username, and I got this message. Get fucked, dude. Moving on to the posts, Acerthorn frequents the Harry Potter subreddit. In this post, he reveals he has no idea what the saying "choking the chicken" means. Not sure how a guy in his 30s is this daft, but I'll excuse it. That's not the bad part. He also goes on to say something about Ginny Weasley sucking dicks and calls her a $2 cum slut. I'm not into Harry Potter, but a quick Google search reveals Ginny is a fucking 11-year-old girl. You're calling a prepubescent child a cum slut and talking about them sucking dicks? You're fucking sick, dude. Fictional character or not is irrelevant. This is a matter of basic moral principle, a thing that Acerthorn apparently lacks. Acerthorn also likes to use the subreddits r/casual conversation and r/ask Reddit to ask depraved questions that are sexual in nature. One question he asked on r/ask Reddit was, inmates of Reddit, what's it like to be sexually assaulted by another dude? It was emotionally and physically traumatizing, and it might negatively affect me for the rest of my life. I've not experienced sexual assault, nor have I served in prison, but shit, I or anyone else could have told you that. What kind of fucked up question is that, dude? There aren't many answers to this question, and all the answers you can give are painfully obvious. In the casual conversation subreddit, Acerthorn made a post asking, what's a good way to ask your girlfriend for a threesome in front of her parents? Pardon me, dude? Why are you asking that in a sub called fucking casual conversation? There's nothing casual about that. Jesus. His post history quickly reveals he is probably a depraved porn addict, and this assumption is cemented by the fact his emails are found to be registered to a plethora of pornographic websites. In his worst display of character by far, he went on to post a question asking this. On Halloween, a kid walks up to your door, says trick or treat, and you notice that you accidentally left your fly unzipped. What do you do? Well, I zip it back up, Acer. I mean, duh. Why? What would you do in this situation? Do you mean to imply you'd do something sexual in nature to a child? This one is the worst post by far. He posted all of these on a Reddit account with the same username as his YouTube and Twitter accounts, because you know, he's a genius. The comments he made about minors in a provocative manner are inexcusable and disgusting. On top of being a scumbag who abuses judicial systems and YouTube's copyright system, he's also a possible child predator. Yeah, this guy belongs in a mental ward. Hopefully, these comments and his lawsuit lead to an indefinite ban on YouTube, at the very least. This guy deserves no platform to stand on. Sexual depravity aside, Acerthorn has taken part in many small forums over the years. Reading some of his posts on these, he is one of the most egotistical and entitled people I've ever witnessed on the internet. Many of his posts follow the same format, and I like to call it Acer Kai. Here are the steps you must follow to master the art of Acer Kai. 1. You must make a post asking the community for help with something. The subject doesn't matter, you just have to be asking for help. 2. When people give input as to possible ways to help you, do not be thankful or anything in any way. You must be as fucking rude as possible. Speak to these people as if they are less than you, like you were talking to insignificant peons that are meant to serve you as king. 3. When people recognize that you are being an asshole and call you out on it, you must not apologize. In fact, double down on your asshole-ish behavior. Why would you owe anyone an apology? This is the internet after all. And these randoms you're speaking to are just that, randoms. They're not humans who have every right to ignore your ass. They're your servants and they owe you hours of their time. And yes, they must do all of this for free, out of the kindness of their heart. Follow these 3 simple steps and you have mastered the art of Acer Kai. Obviously, as founder of this form of douche jitsu, Acerthorn has this skill down to a T. Back in 2016, Acer posted to a writing forum asking where he could find the best non-self-publishers to submit books to. One user replied to the thread noting that he might want to try and get an agent as it'll be easier with one to reach his publishing goal. In true Acer fashion, he goes on to reply to this post by saying, "Okay, for God's sakes, did you not read the op? I specifically said that I can't afford to pay for these things." Damn, dude, he was just trying to help you out. Jeez. He went on to continue posting like nothing happened. And a user named Tenderizer called him out for not apologizing for flipping out and not thanking anybody. Acer went on to reply to that post by saying, "No, I don't think I should have to apologize. After all, you should have been able to tell from my OP that I'm a complete novice at this." And he also justifies himself not thanking anybody by saying, "You haven't helped me yet. The closest you've come to helping me is advising me that I should have a proposal without giving me any details whatsoever as to what exactly that proposal entails. You're just telling me basic stuff and expecting me to read your mind in order to fill the blanks in. I'm a novice here, for crying out loud." Yeah, guys, how could you? You seriously think you deserve a fucking apology, dude? Isn't it obvious I have no idea what I'm doing and therefore that you should lick my ballsack and spend hours helping me for nothing in return? Don't you have any humanity? People continue to rightfully shit on Acer for his behavior in this thread, and he's banned shortly after. He posted a staggering 7 times. 7 times, guys, before getting permabanned. Was he going for a fucking speedrun or something here? I think you have to be trying to get banned that quickly. And the sad thing here is that he wasn't trying. This is literally just how he fucking acts. I can see it now. Ripley's Believe It or Not. World's fastest ban on an online forum. Record set by world-renowned shithead David Steddon. We'll quickly skim over these next posts. His Facebook account was found, and it has long since been abandoned. A post on here that was found is him bitching at everyone for saying happy birthday to him and telling them to shut up. Damn, God forbid people care about you and your fucking birthday, dude. Jeez. How are you this fucking miserable? He also went on to post to a Linux community asking for help with video creation on something called Ubuntu Network Edition. Not familiar with Linux, but I assume this is some sort of OS or browser or something. He once again shows his mastery of Acer Kai by spamming a text wall in all caps that one of the things people have suggested he tries does not work, and to not tell him to try it. Damn, okay, dude. I heard, or read, I should say, the first time you said not to just suggest this. You didn't have to say it another 97 fucking times. I don't think he actually said it that many times, but he said it more than enough times for me to not want to count that shit. He's actively posted on so many forums and been reprimanded for his behavior on so many forums that you could spend literally hours looking into this shit. This is already a long video, and I want to spare not only your time, but also save a few of your brain cells from self-destructing.
Apologies, but when
Acerthorn
speaks, I feel my brain cells committing suicide one by one.
Nobody is safe from Acer's terror, not even his own family. I did not mention this earlier, but there are 3 other lawsuits that Acerthorn has filed in the past. Against who, you may ask? Well, his own fucking parents, of course. Who else? You see, back in 2014, Acer filed a lawsuit against not one, but both of his parents combined. He filed this lawsuit because his parents claimed him as a dependent on their tax returns? What? Well, for one, Acer, you are a dependent. You lived with your parents and are not able to work, which means you cannot make money, which means you're financially dependent. You dumb fuck. And for 2, why were you trying to sue for this? How does your parents claiming you as a dependent affect you negatively in any way? They get a tax break for having dependents in their household. Don't you want your parents to save money? Especially considering at the time they were financially supporting you? The nitty-gritty details of this lawsuit seem to be lost to time, But we do have an appeal document from the courts that surprisingly says the case was tossed out. You hate to see it, you know? I figured you would have won this one, buddy. 48th time's the charm, right? The document says they dismissed his complaint, but also goes on to say the district court concluded that Stebbins had a history of frivolous litigation and had abused the privilege of proceedings in forma pauperis. The court thus imposed restrictions on Stebbins' future filings. Specifically, the court limited the number of cases that Stebbins could file in the Western District of Arkansas to no more than one case every 3 months, and only upon payment of a $50 bond, refunded if the complaint was adjudged not frivolous. The court added that nothing in its order prohibited Stebbins from proceeding with counsel, from defending himself in a lawsuit brought against him, or from filing a claim in which he alleged immediate, extraordinary, and irreparable physical harm. Stebbins challenges the dismissal of the action and the imposition of filing restrictions. Well, that's interesting. The courts got so fed up that they did actually impose some sort of punishment on Acer. Sadly, though, the punishment doesn't seem to fit the crime here. I don't think Acer should just have a light restriction placed on him. He should just straight up be either jailed or fined out the ass. What do you guys think? Oh, and it gets worse. In 2017, he attempted to sue his father, David Stebbins Sr., for breaching a contract Acer made with him. At this time, Acer was living with his father, and upon moving in, Acer wrote up a contract he probably forced his father to sign, saying he must provide Acer with adequately high-speed internet.
Listen, Dad, I know you're housing me because I'm a lowlife that contributes nothing to society, but you still owe me fast internet. For free as well. That's an order.
At one point, Acer felt the internet was not fast enough to suit his needs, so guess what he does? He confronts his elderly father and stabs him in the face. I'm not joking. It's literally in the court documents he was charged with battery. In my opinion, that should be considered attempted murder. Remind me why this guy isn't rotting in a jail cell right now? He also went on to claim that his father was lying about the incident and stabbed himself in the face to make him look like a bad guy. Wow. Lying to a judge, bud? You know that's a crime in itself, right? You'd seriously throw your own parents under the bus? You know, the people providing for you, to try and save your ass? Fuck off. Case details aren't important. All you need to know is that Acer's case was obviously denied and he was charged with battery. His sentence or punishment for the battery charge doesn't seem to be documented, but again, it doesn't seem the punishment was nearly severe enough. To Acer's family, I'm sorry your son's a failure. So far, this guy seems like a crazy asshole, right? Well, he is, but he's also not all there mentally. This section of the video is just a glaring detail that clues into why Acerthorn behaves this way, and is not meant to insult him. I don't condone making fun of Acerthorn, or anyone for that matter, for a mental deficiency they are born with or diagnosed with. It's not something they can control, obviously. But to shed some light on Acerthorn's conditions, he has been diagnosed professionally with a couple of disorders. Firstly, he has been diagnosed with Asperger's. Asperger's is a developmental disorder akin to autism spectrum disorder. It affects one's ability to effectively socialize and communicate. Moving on to the second disorder, Acerthorn is diagnosed with explosive intermittent disorder. This disorder is more serious and is characterized by explosive outbursts of anger and violence. Never heard of this one until today, so I'd imagine it's probably rare. And on top of that, he's diagnosed with delusional disorder, a disorder characterized by being unable to distinguish between real and imagined threats. This is a rare and rather serious condition. I don't mean to go wildly in depth in this section of the video, but I figured I'd note it because it explains Acer's shitty behavior to some degree. This is not meant to excuse him from what he's been doing at all. But hey, I think we'd all like to know the method to the madness, if there is any. Also worth noting, at one point in time, Acerthorn did an accidental live stream for 2 hours or so. During this time, he was on and off, displaying very erratic behaviors such as pacing around, howling, punching, making other odd noises, and saying disturbing things to himself, such as "I will kill you" and "beat the truth out of him." Yeah, I don't know, guys. Really weird. This video is rather long, obviously. I'm not going to play a 2-hour live stream, so I'm just going to show a short clip of the stream. That should suffice enough.
Institutions in the U.
Or I will kill you.
After watching the clip, yeah, it's pretty clear we're dealing with someone who is mentally disturbed and kind of unhinged. This guy probably shouldn't be allowed to just fuck around on the internet at his own accord. But enough of that shit, let's move on to the next segment. In summary, Acerthorn is not just a jerk who abuses the copyright system on YouTube in order to silence his critics. He's much worse. He abuses the US justice system by filing dozens of bullshit lawsuits in an attempt to rob people and silence them. He's a sexual deviant and a possible threat to children around him. He's an asshole who talks down to literally everybody, even those who try to help him. He's an ungrateful sack of shit, and he'll violently attack and even abuse his family members for even daring to defy him. He's not just a bad guy. We're talking about someone here who's straight up fucking evil, and I don't say that lightly. He suffers from a plethora of untreated mental illnesses, and honestly, considering his history, he should not be allowed to live in society. His current lawsuit against many small YouTubers is bogus and is most likely gonna get thrown right out of the courtroom. But despite this, please everybody, if you can, check out these creators and their many YouTube channels. Stop by and let them know that you're on their side and rooting for them. They all produce awesome content of all shapes and sizes, and you won't be disappointed at all if you check them out. All of their channels will be listed in the description box below, and they will also be in a pinned comment in the comment section by me. And if any of you guys are watching this video, I'm rooting for you guys. Let's sort this fucker out together. I'd also like to thank Kiwi Farms for making this video possible. Most, if not all, of the topics and sources I'm talking about here originated in a thread on Kiwi Farms. I'd also like to thank you, Acerthorn. If it wasn't for your shitty Elden Ring video, I, and probably many others, would have most likely never heard of you and never knew about the shit you've been up to behind the scenes for years on end. You would have just stayed a relatively unknown YouTuber. But hey, I guess you're kind of famous now. That was your goal all along, wasn't it? Well, looks like we've reached the end of the line here, Acerthorn, and what can I say? I had to give you a career to destroy it. This has been Space Guy, and as always, thanks for watching. I'm out of here.